That's exactly right. Once a neutral internet and a neutral structure for the network has been largely abandoned, it's going to be very difficult to go back. Think about it. You've got a whole bunch of businesses that have struck deals, that have changed equipment in their network, they've made investments, they've made business plans, all based on the idea that they don't have to be neutral. At that point, it's going to be very hard to roll all of that back. It's just a lot more efficient and a lot more effective to establish some rules of the road in advance that establish the expectation that we're going to operate this network on a neutral basis. I think the ability of antitrust law to fully address the network neutrality issue is actually pretty limited. Antitrust law targets and prohibits anti-competitive conduct, but net neutrality policy really aims to protect an affirmative good, that is this open network structure that has proved so successful. There's a range of practices that might undermine the open internet and that aren't obviously anti-competitive. So I'm not at all sure that antitrust law can cover the kinds of practices that would need to be covered to keep the internet neutral. But there's also a more practical concern. Even if antitrust law fully applied, the problem is that the kind of entities that internet neutrality policy aims to protect are new startups. They're small entities who are just trying to get going. Those are exactly the kind of entities that can't afford to bring a large antitrust suit against some established network operator that's many, many times their size. Antitrust litigation is notorious for taking years, if not decades, to resolve complaints, and that's just not something that internet startups are in any kind of position to even consider. I actually wouldn't venture any prediction about how the court will actually rule in that case. It's hard to say how that will go, and who knows. But the reason that it's hard to know is that what the court's going to be addressing is the particular legal rationale that the FCC put forward in its order. If you step up to a slightly higher level, I'm actually quite confident that the FCC should have authority over this general area, namely over the practices of the companies that provide the actual pipes, the actual physical communications connections that bring people the internet. Regulating the fundamental communications infrastructure and making sure that the companies that provide that infrastructure don't abuse their position is a long-standing function of the FCC, and it's really what we have a federal communications regulator for. So I certainly do believe that the FCC should have authority here. I just don't know how the court will rule on the specific rationale that was put forward. I should add that saying that the FCC has authority over the pipes, over the transmission lines, is very different from saying it has authority over all things internet. There's really a much more narrow theory of authority here, which is we've got a communications regulator. Their job is to make sure that the companies that operate the physical communications infrastructure can't abuse that position. It's quite simple, and I think there shouldn't be any doubt at a big picture level about that authority.